Hello and welcome to League of Legends. So I'm around here with a Trundle and I want to talk about buff control. Specifically blue and red buffs, Ancient Golem and Lizard Elder. Baron by itself is worthy of its own entire discussion and I'm not including it here. So my firm belief is that when you are a new jungler, as in you are not necessarily new to the game, but you're just new to jungling, you should try to control your own buffs before you try to control enemy buffs. That is, since I killed red buff at 2 minutes 15 seconds, it will... no, not red buff, blue buff. It will respawn at 7 minutes and 15 seconds, because it has 5-minute respawn time. That means that when that time comes, I need to have it either warded or some other way I have to have control of my own side's blue buff. Otherwise enemies might just as well come and take it, right? That's how it works. So control your own buffs before you control enemy buffs. Once you have your own buff control down, then you can do whatever the heck you want with the hostile buffs. Because otherwise you run into these situations where you might just as well, you know, you are going to go and get the enemy buff. Like, you know when it respawns around 7 minutes and 15 seconds. So you go and contest and take it, but what they do in return is contest and take your buff. So control your own buff, then worry about controlling the enemy buff, once you know what you're doing with your buffs. That's what I believe in, but obviously everything is situational in League of Legends. So now I propose you a question. What was the timer when the red buff will respawn? What was the time when I killed it? About 3 minutes and 25 seconds if you did not pay attention. If you paid attention, then you probably know all about timers and don't have to worry about it. So let's move on. Now this obviously is a new game. That means the blue buff won't be spawning at 7 minutes and 15 seconds and red buff at 8 minutes and 25 seconds because they are not killed. So, are you dominating top lane? Shoved it to the enemy tower, forced them out of the lane, maybe killed them, some such, or they backed away? By a word. Walk right over here. Drop a word. Bomb. You are suddenly controlling an enemy buff. Don't have to force your jungler to do it. Maybe your mid laner can do it from here, over the wall, just fine. But you're helping control the buff. If you manage to then dominate the top lane entirely, such as for example killing the enemy top laner and you know that the enemy jungler has just appeared somewhere else, you can straight go to the red buff, shove your lane, go to the red buff, be done with it, and steal the red buff away. Why not? Right? Why not? It's all part of controlling buffs. If you are afraid as a top laner that your own buff might be stolen, then heck, ward it. Nothing stops you from warding, you know, your own buffs. So you can see what the heck is happening. Right? Let's move on. Another position from where it is kind of easy to join in on the buff control fight is when you are playing support. I obviously do not right now have, because this is a custom map, and I didn't talk anyone to joining me here. I obviously don't have anyone to support. But the point here is that there will be lulls in these fights in the bot lane. I mean, one side goes to buy and then the other side does a little bit of pushing, then goes to buy. That usually leads to also the moments where you ward Tri-Brush or ward Dragon and all that stuff. But you can also, when the time looks like your blue buff is going to spawn and such, you can go and ward your own blue buff. if you think that there is going to be an invite. Or you can go and ward the enemy buff, in this case red buff, or if you're on the blue side, it's obviously just walk up here and drop a ward. That just might be a difficult concept though. Boom, done. Whether you drop it here or whether you drop it in the brush, all depends on how safe and where you want to walk. Let's go elsewhere, shall we? And talk about actual wording. So wording, it can be really tricky business. This word, which I just plumped down here a little bit ago when I came over here, this is something which is expected when you are invading. Let's say this is the hostile buff, right now it's my own size buff. But these sort of words which are in the brush, they are expected. You plump a pink word down here just to see if anyone's worded it. The funny thing is that if I walk over here, I can somehow see the buff with that word. Because now if I mouse over this word, you can see the area of it, right? It's pretty damn small. It's actually smaller than what this thing shows me, right? Much smaller. Yeah, so as I said, wording going to be tricky business because this thing does not hold true for the most part. Also, these sort of words which actually give you sight of more than what you exactly want to see is how you would prefer to word. So do this when it's safe to word, when you are wording your own buff for whatever reason, that sort of stuff. Place your word in such a place that it also helps with other matters than just, you know, the word. Because if I plump this word down here, I can see the blue buff, but I can't actually see much else. Because it's way back here and it doesn't actually like really give me view over the wall and stuff around here, right? So it basically both serve the same function. They both show the blue buff, which I want to see if enemies are coming to steal it or some such. But this gives me visions of so much more than that. It gives me vision of 4 different freaking angles of exposure for people to run around when. That's most important when you are doing unsafe wording. Because here, if I'm invading enemy buff and I want to ward it, if I don't know where enemies are, I don't know how safe am I. Do I dare walk into this brush where there might be a couple guys sitting here that if I walk there they're just gonna instantly get me? Do I want to plump my word over from here just like this? This is a mistake, forget about that, this is a fail click by me. Anyways, do I wanna do this and just walk away, or do I actually want to take the risk of going here and warding this brush? Of course it would make more sense in this brush. I can see much more area here, right? It gives me much better vision. This is a much better ward overall. But it is also expected, because it's much better ward. Someone's gonna come and plunk a pink ward down and see if their buff is warded. This, on the other hand, is unexpected ward. But it also serves, for the simple buff control, it serves its purpose. It shows me the red buff. It does not show me this area here, which this word does. So when you're being hostile, you're invading enemy jungle to ward buffs, keep in mind that, well, you want to be safe. You don't want to come here and die randomly, right? So don't do that. Try to play it safe even when you are doing plays like that. Especially when doing plays like that. So let's talk a couple random tips before I finish this up. So for the final bit of this video, which is very short video bit, is to give you, dear viewers, something to experiment on. All abilities which displace enemies, moves them in some way or another, can be used kinda nicely for some sort of a buff control. Whether you are trying to steal enemy buffs, or block enemies from stealing your buffs, such as sticking a pillar in its face, as in Trundle's pillar, so forth. All these things can allow you to do all sorts of funky things with these, you know, buff monsters. So experiment with them, see what all you can do to, you know, annoy the heck out of your enemies and so forth. Right? So hopefully this was somewhat fun for you and maybe educational. And thank you very much for watching.